Okay, part 3. Way's gonna help too, aren't you? So I do want to reiterate that I go to this hospital for other things. We go there for pediatrics. We like this hospital. This hospital has a really good birthing reputation. So that's sort of like in my mind, like I'm, really expecting to have a good time because this hospital has always, like, in my opinion, had good birth outcomes. So I just got in the spinal. I'm in the operating room. They give me the spinal. I lay down on the table and instantly the pain is gone. I feel so much better. And they start prepping me. And my husband isn't in the room yet. The anesthesiologist is still there. He's like telling me, if you start feeling sick. Hi. If you start feeling sick, let me know. I can give you some more medication, whatever. So people are like doing all the stuff to like start prepping me. Jeremy comes in, he's like by my head, and we're just sort of like waiting for them to kind of start. They obviously like wash your stomach area with that like cleaning solution. I can't remember the term, but it felt really cold. And the nurse or doctor, I'm not sure exactly who it was because there was actually 2 doctors who did the actual C-section, asked me if I felt pinching. Because I had also noted that I was like, oh, wow, that's really cold. And she was kind of like, you can feel that? And I was like, yeah, it feels cold. And I could feel it like right here on my stomach. I don't know why my shirt is wet. So she's like pinching me and she's like, can you feel that? And I was like, yeah, I can kind of feel that. And I feel like she ignored me. Obviously I wasn't quite with it, but something in my brain was like, she's ignoring you. And they just like carried on with the procedure, even though I said I could feel that. So, there's lots of tugging and stuff like that seems to be pretty general. I've never had a C-section before. Like, this is my first one. So, like, we're just sort of there for the ride. I started feeling sick. The anesthesiologist gave me some more medication, and that did go away. So we're sort of waiting for him to come out, and it definitely took a little while. So we're sort of, like, talking to the anesthesiologist. Jeremy and I are talking. We're just, like, waiting for him to come out. And apparently the reason why it was taking them so long to get him out was because they couldn't get him out with just the doctor's hand. So usually they just like go in there and scoop them out. So they couldn't do that because he was so far into my pelvis and he was like stuck. So they had to essentially, since he was sunny side, so he was facing up, they had to deliver him breech. So since he was facing up though, they had to like turn him over and then take his legs out and deliver him that way. So I felt when he came out, like it didn't hurt. I just felt like a lot of pressure. So he didn't cry right away. We were sort of like waiting, and I knew that like it could kind of take them a little bit, but he definitely didn't cry right away. And I was sort of like, what? Like, when's he going to cry? And I almost said something and then he cried. And like, they brought him over to the table and stuff and they were suctioning him. And while he was, coming into the world and stuff, and I think Jeremy like went over to see him too, the doctors were working on me because I had my uterus had torn. So I didn't know that at the time, but they told me this after. So this is fairly common, I guess, if you've been laboring and then they try and do a C-section. I guess it happens because your uterus gets thin, so it's easily tearable from where they did the incision. So they're working on my bleeding and getting the tear like stitched up. And they bring Arthur over, and I get to meet him. And it's kind of like a surreal moment because I feel like I'm sort of out of it. And I'm also like really tired and exhausted, but he was so sweet and like, we were just enjoying him. He had like 3 really bright red like lines on his forehead, like where he had been stuck. So that was like, I kind of, right when I saw that, I was like, yep, like, I know my body. I knew that something, like, wasn't quite right. And so Jeremy was holding him, and then all of a sudden I started feeling the procedure. So, like, I started feeling the surgery. And this was probably the weirdest feeling I've ever felt in my life. But, like, I could feel them, like, taking out organs, and I could feel them, like, in my stomach area, like, moving around. And I started to say something. I was like, ow, like, I can feel that. Am I supposed to be able to feel that? Like, ow, ow. I kept saying ow, like, louder and louder. And I, like, just started ignoring Jeremy and the baby because, like, I couldn't not ignore this pain. And somebody, like, peeked over the little, like, curtain that's there. And they're like, we don't know why you can feel the procedure. And it just started getting more and more painful. And I was like, your arms are kind of, like, out straight. So I was like, I grabbed onto something and I started shaking it. And I was like, I can feel this. Like, this really hurts. Like, ow, ow, ow. And then the anesthesiologist was like, I'm just going to sedate her. And it felt like icicles and, like, knives were, like, piercing my stomach. And it was like this cold burning feeling. I know that sounds weird, but that's what it felt like when I started feeling it. And I also felt like I was just gonna, like, throw up too, but, like, I didn't feel nauseous. It was really weird. So he sedates me, so then I obviously don't remember anything after that. I just remember waking up and feeling really good, but also groggy. But I was like, oh, wow, I just had, like, this really great sleep. So I woke up 2 hours later. So it took them 2 hours to control my bleeding and get my uterus and everything back where it's supposed to be, and stitched up. So I was in recovery for probably another, like, 20, 30 minutes. And I obviously was not really sure what had happened. I thought it had been, like, minutes later. And I was really upset while I was in recovery. Like, I just remember, like, tears were rolling down my eyes and, like, I couldn't control it. They just, like, kept coming and coming. And I remember as I was sort of coming to, being like, you know, where is everybody? Like, why am I in this other room? Like, there's nobody there I recognize. There was a nurse who was watching me, but she, like, told me not to talk and to just, like, rest. So she was kind of bitter. And because I asked her, I was like, what am I supposed to be doing? And she was like, resting. And I was like, oh, okay. just wanted to know. So, I just kind of, like, laying there, like, crying silently, and it's sort of getting, like, worse and worse. And I'm starting to feel worse and worse, not like pain, but just, like, I'm starting to feel more and more upset and, like, worried. And I'm just like, where's the baby? And I feel like I remember kind of whispering, like, where's the baby? Where's the baby? Like, where is everybody? Where's the baby? And then this other nurse came in, and she introduced herself, and she's like, hi, you know, I'm XYZ. I'm going to be, like, your recovery nurse. I'm going to bring you back to labor and delivery. And she kind of, and I sort of, like, must not have said anything. I don't know. But she kind of just, like, got it. Like, she instantly was like, oh, you don't look good. She's like, I'm going to go get the baby. And the other nurse, who was really bitter, was like, you can't do that. You can't take the baby off of the birthing unit. Like, you're going to set off the alarms. You can't do that. You're not allowed to do that. So they're, like, arguing for, like, I don't know, a little bit. And I'm just, like, you know, getting more hysterical and more upset. And she's like, well, she doesn't look so good. I'm going to go get the baby and bring the baby over here. So she leaves, goes and gets Arthur, and I can hear him, like, kind of crying in the hallway. And then all of a sudden, all these alarms start going off because she brought him off the unit. So, like, he had, like, a little, like, badge or whatever on his ankle so that if somebody tried to steal him, they would know that somebody's stealing him. So she essentially stole him off the birthing unit. So she steals him and brings him to me. So I'm hearing him coming down the hallway. And then she's, like, holding him, and all of a sudden he's, like, right there, and she just, like, places him on my chest, and I, like, instantly felt better, and he instantly stopped crying, and we both just, like, fell into this euphoric state. Okay, I'm gonna have to make a part 4.